Good afternoon and welcome to the August 18, 2021 regular meeting of the Gates County Board of Commissioners. I am Dr. Althea Riddick, the 2021 Chair of the Board. I am joined this afternoon by Commissioner Jack Owens, Vice Chair, Commissioner Ray Freeman, Commissioner Linda Hoffler, and Commissioner Jonathan Jones is absent. I'm also joined by the County Manager, Mr. Tim Wilson, and the County Attorney, Mr. Philip Godwin. I remind everyone that the meeting is being live streamed and recorded. If you desire to speak during the citizen comments, please fill out the form at the front of the room. Also, this is not a public hearing, so if you plan on having a comment or speaking, please fill out the form and you will have an opportunity during citizen comment. Now I will ask Pastor Wade Bennett of Your Christian Church to lead us in prayer. Mr. Bennett? Reverend Bennett, excuse me. Let us stand.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you tonight for the privilege of living in this great country and in a very special place called Gates County. Lord, we want to remember the family, pray for the family of Marcel Smith, Commissioner Marcel Smith of Halifax County tonight. We pray for the situation in Afghanistan, Lord, that you would protect Americans and all people of freedom there, deliver them, and we just ask for your help in this situation. We pray for wisdom for our leaders. We pray for our children, Lord, as they return to school soon. We ask your protection. We pray against this virus and pray for healing and health for all of us. We pray for our law enforcement personnel, and we thank you for their service, for all public servants, Lord. And we pray for these commissioners tonight, that you would give them wisdom, unity, agreement, direction as they seek to lead our county and do what's right. We ask these prayers in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Fellow commissioners, you have the agenda before you. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
I have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved. Before you have the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that motion as well.
We have a motion and a second. All approved?
Aye.
Consent agenda approved. Next, we will have the introduction of our new county employee, Mr. Willis Smith III, Department of Social Services Director, by the County Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure this afternoon to introduce to the board and to the public Mr. Willie R. Smith III. Mr. Smith was raised in Yonkers, New York by his mother. Upon graduation, he moved to Norfolk, Virginia to be closer to family, and there he attended Norfolk State University, where he received a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in business management. Mr. Smith continued his education by receiving a JD from Florida Coastal School of Law, and Mr. Smith has served in numerous civil positions. I am glad to introduce Mr. Smith and welcome him to Gates County to his new role as the Director of the Department of Social Services. Wish him much luck in that position and look forward to working with him in the future. And with that, I introduce to you Mr. Smith.
Mr. Smith, you have something to say to this group and to the county?
Yes, thank you to the county commissioners, Mr. Wilson, for the opportunity to serve the county of Gates. I do look forward to putting my best foot forward. As I've told some of my staff, I feel this is a get job for me. I get to serve this county. I get to provide the opportunity to help the community as a whole, and I genuinely look forward to that. So on behalf of my staff who welcome me warmly, I thank you all for that warm welcome. I look forward to working with the county as well in such a manner. So thank you.
And welcome to Gates County. Ms. Chestnut, do we have any sign-ups for the
Yes,
citizen
ma'am.
comments?
We have Mr. Earl Roundtree,
Mr. Earl-
Sunbury.
Mr. Earl Roundtree from Sunbury.
Yes, and he's the only individual I have.
Welcome, Mr. Roundtree. How are you?
Well, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I thought I could give up on this. And then I decided all of a sudden I get drugged back into it. But I'm gonna try to stay on, I changed my subject 3 or 4 times, but I'm gonna stay on, well, that's the clock.
Yeah, there's the
I'm
clock.
gonna finish within 15 minutes. But anyway, I'm glad Kit's here, because this is the first thing I was gonna say that's come across my desk and got me on the computer. And I mentioned this a little bit in Miss Hoffler, but she didn't say much. Jack Owens and I had a long conversation. But what I'm talking about is, we got a strange situation here in Gates County that I guess has happened somewhere in the state, but I can't find in the precidences what it does, and that's y'all appointing a replacement for Jonathan Jones. Because I can't find where a Democrat changed his reservation to Republican and then resigns, and what you're supposed to do. And the only thing that I did, and this is all up to Pitt, they all paying him the bucks to figure it out, but why I brought this up, and I brought it up, y'all, I'm a kind of person that believes in a plan, right? I believe in a plan. I put on my Facebook, when Betty and I went to California, we stayed 30 nights away from home. Every night I knew where I was going to spend the night and how close the Cracker Barrel was to my motel. And I planned things like that. And the reason I was talking to Jack is, assuming Jonathan Jones is going to resign, he told us he was, he told the paper he was, and you're going to have to find a replacement. I don't care who you pick. I mean, wait a minute, back up. Earl didn't say that. I do care, but I'm not involved in that decision. But when I was saying Republican or Democrat, but I said, whichever way this balance goes, whichever way the law goes, whoever picks one. But the ultimate goal at the end is, and we know no matter Republican or Democrat, you pick it, her or him. And so we want to pick somebody qualified, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. Just because somebody in the Republican Party or somebody in the Democrat Party, whichever way that we decide to go, sends you a name, I'm not going to sit here and look at that name. I'm going to look at some more people and see if that person is qualified. And that's basically all I got to say for that. But I do think that we need to look at that bit, because the word lawsuit has already come up. I mean, they've already planning on challenging whatever it is done. But if you come in here and say, okay, here's what the law said. The only little catch that I saw in the law was the origin. In other words, Jonathan Jones ran as a Democrat. And I did see, to me, it looked like maybe he had to, the Democrat Party would pick it because he was a Democrat nominee. Leave that up to Pitt and y'all, but that's my 2 cents on that. The other thing I wanted to say is real personal with me, and I didn't know that, I see you changed the agenda, but I go all the way back to Pitt was born. And his daddy and I spent a lot of time talking about politics, and I miss him dearly. But Lamar Benton, actually Mr. Gregory, but that's way back. I was Lamar Benton, Sherwood Eason, J.S. Pierce. They're the ones right offhand that I worked with. Of course, Ed McDuffie here was a little over 100 years. And so, I dealt with him on a regular basis. But the thing that's got me is closed session. I know that you, up until June, I found out that you changed and you were having a closed session for an hour before each meeting. Now, all of these other commissioners, and I had the law to bring, so I'd read it. And the top line up there is what I really read. You shall do these things. They don't say if you decide to, if you want to, you shall do this. And you know what they are: real estate, personnel. That's pretty much, there's some stuff in there about school stuff. There's something in there about if you're going to give award to Linda, you wouldn't want to tell her. But I just don't believe, and I cannot believe, that I'm stupid enough to think that this commission has to have closed sessions at every meeting because you don't buy that much property, you don't hire that many people. And I know for a fact, but I can't prove it, that things have been discussed. And it's easy, I understand why you want to do it. It's easy to sit in here with nobody in here and say what you feel. And my time is up, and I've said what I come to say. And also, I got one thing. No, this is the first thing. We got a big election coming up, then we got the Jonathan Jones thing. I do not recruit candidates. And so don't get that. Somebody has already called me about recruiting candidates. I don't do that. But Linda once called me the Koch brothers of Gates County. And she said it sort of joking, but it's the truth. And I don't mind doing it. And I'm going to be supporting candidates if they decide to run. But anyway, the pot's off. But that's what I wanted to make sure that y'all didn't hear somebody that said, Earl Roundtree is out here trying to find somebody to run against Jack Owens or Ray Freeman. That's not true. I want somebody that, if they want to run, come forward to me and say, I can do this for the county, will you help me? And I may say yes, and I may say no.
Thank you, Mr. Roundtree, for your comments. Next, we have administrative reports, departmental reports, and the finance report. County manager.
Yes, you do have copies of the departmental reports. I did receive a message in terms of, I don't know if Kim wishes to give a finance report, but I know you're used to hearing from the tax administrator. He is not available for the meeting tonight.
All right. So you don't think Kim is going to give a report tonight? I don't see her.
She's over here.
Come on, Kim. You're hiding. Come on now, Ms. Outland.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ms. Outland.
Don't really have a lot to report tonight from the finance office. Currently, we are finalizing fiscal year 21, so a lot of our revenue and expenditures that are coming in are posted back to the prior year. The sales tax revenue, we have 1 month left for fiscal year 21, which will be received in September. But so far, we are still right on track with earning more than what we have budgeted for, so that's always good news. We did receive the last payment for the Medicaid hold harmless. If you recall, we received 90% in March, and then we received the remaining 10% in August after they do final calculations, and that's when you find out whether or not you do receive your 10% or if you have to pay it back. We had anticipated a little over $49,000. We actually received $114,000. So that was a nice surprise. That will be posted back to fiscal year 21, so that will, go towards our fund balance. So that was our little piece of good news. And recently, for grants, and I believe you guys are going to, it looks like on the agenda, talk about the broadband grant, but we did submit that application. I think it was on the 13th, Friday. So we do have that application in, and then we had received the $5,000 recently for the NC band grant as well. The only other upcoming items, as usual, the audit team will be here in October with the anticipation of having the audit turned in by the due date of October 31st. That's all I have.
Any questions for Ms. Outland? Thank you, Kim.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If you don't have any public hearings, okay, broadband, old business first is up broadband, and I will present that. This is just a broad overview of where we are with broadband as far as not only locally, but in the state. Commissioners, I did send a number of documents to your attention via email on yesterday, and I'm just going to give a broad overview for the viewing public and those who are in attendance so they can see what we are, where we are as far as broadband. And then once I complete this small presentation, then Commissioner Hoffler and I will talk about the situation where many of the counties are going into either regional or partnerships with an entity to provide the broadband. So first, I'm just going to give a broad overview of where we are with broadband update. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan contains approximately $2 billion directed to counties in North Carolina and $1.3 billion to municipalities. Gates County received approximately half of our total allotment, which is $1.4 million, and the second portion will be received next year. We will have until the end of 2024 to obligate the funds and until the end of 2026 to spend it. This time frame will give us time to confirm what type of regional, state, federal, and grant opportunities are available and maximize every dollar and not duplicate efforts and efficiently use all available funding. The board will work with the county manager and his finance team as they develop an intentional plan that balances the spending portion of the funds on immediate needs while investing in longer-term projects and programs that will be significant as the board positions county government in all communities we serve for the future. At this time, counties cannot access the ARP funding for broadband. House Bill 129, passed in 2011, that prohibits that access. House Bill 129, it is codified as Article 16A of Chapters 168 in the North Carolina General Assembly statutes and lays out how a municipality can operate a communication service, but not a local government. This restriction leaves communities at risk and adversely affects local governments. However, the passage of House Bill 815, and the short title is County Broadband Authority, is currently moving through the House chamber and would remove that restriction. It would allow local governments the ability to provide grants to unaffiliated private or nonprofit providers of broadband service for the purpose of expanding broadband service in unserved areas in the county. As board chair, I have discussed this situation face-to-face with Governor Roy Cooper, with Trey Lewis, the regional representative for State Senator Tom Tillis, with Reginald Spate, District Director for Congressman Butterfield, and Ms. Roundtree. Congressman Butterfield is scheduled to visit Gates County on August 25th at 5:30 p.m., and we will be contacting Senator Steinberg for a similar conversation. So what is next? Counties are being asked to partner with entities in a covered partnership to apply for funds toward broadband. So that's a broad update of what's going on in the state of North Carolina, not just in Gates County. So the ARP funds that we are receiving cannot at this time be tapped for broadband. We must continue to look for grants and other funding to get this done. Now, some of you have seen in the paper, Daily Advance, over the weekend, that Chowan and Paquemids are considering partnering with Atlantic Telephone Membership Corporation, or ATMC, to apply for grants to fund expanding broadband. The Board of Commissioners of Gates County have been asked to partner with Roanoke Electric Corporation and have a request also from Albemarle Commission. I will give the update for Roanoke Electric and assist Commissioner Hoffler with the information from Albemarle Commission. I'll stop right here and see if there are any questions of what I've said thus far before I continue. You have a lot of documentations, Commissioners, and this is for your reading pleasure all along, not just for this meeting, but as we go forward, you'll receive other information, documents, and the county managers have the same documents. The county manager and I have been on many webinars and Zoom meetings and in person discussing broadband, so when he can't attend, I usually try to attend. Commissioner Hoffler also attends with Albemarle. I traveled to Hertford to meet her there for that discussion, and I attended a Zoom meeting in order for we, as the commissioners, keep current in what's going on and can make a knowledgeable decision where we're going. Okay. At your seats, you have documentation on the email about the budget. We have applied with NTIA for a grant. You just heard Ms. Outland say that the grant went off on Friday. It was due yesterday, so we got it in ahead of time. That's a good thing. And it's for $1.9 million. What will that do? RCH, or Roanoke Holdings, has completed analysis and determined that a hybrid approach to the creation of a broadband network that includes a fixed wireless solution and fiber to the premise solution that is feasible and provides the capacity that its members will require not only today, but for many years to come. RCH has put in motion the hybrid projects to meet their build-out obligations and the demands of their members. To this project, RCH will be using a hybrid access network to deploy broadband in the proposed funded service area defined in the application. Specifically, and this is technical, this is the only technical paragraph I've got, so just hold on. I know more about broadband than I thought. Roanoke will be using a gigabit passive optical network, GPON, architecture using equipment from Calyx and Cambium. GPON is a point-to multi-point architecture that is primarily used to serve residential and business subscribers. A GPON architecture uses fiber optic splitters to enable 32 or more customer locations served by a single optical line terminal or port. Per the International Telecommunication Union, the industry standard for GPON technology provides for speeds greater than or equal to 1,200 megabytes upstream and 2,400 megabytes downstream for each port. All manufacturers of FTTH equipment in the United States support this technology. The Gates County project will allow Roanoke Connect to utilize the existing MCNC dark fiber and the fiber backbone connecting to substations of Roanoke Electric Membership Corporation to deploy a hybrid solution of FTTP and fixed wireless solution with 1 gigabyte megabytes symmetrical to the FTTP and 250 download and 80 megabytes upload for the fixed wireless solution that will connect the communities of Sunbury to Holly Grove, to Core Peak, to Gates, to Ure, to Gatesville, and Hallsville. These communities will be connected with fiber that is designed for future capacity within the network, including equipment hubs expansion at Roanoke Electric Corporation, Easton's Crossroad, and Roduca substations, as well as the number of fiber strands, which is 288. The towns will act as the hubs with the fixed wireless solution deployed within the communities and additional fiber deployed from the towns out of the most rural areas of Gates County. The budget includes services to 7 towns and townships with an estimated 1,260 households with an estimated 40% take rate or 900 subscribers. The budget again is $1.9 million. The match that we had to pay, if we chose to pay it from the state for a match, for the grant rather, was $198,839. We did not have to pay that match. Roanoke picked it up. So it's not costing the county one dime for this application, plus the 10% for administration. They will be administrating the grant once it's hopefully, prayerfully approved. We will know that in November, whether we get this match. Now, this grant, you know that when we write for grants, there's no guarantee we're going to get that, but we're not going to get it unless we write them. So if we don't get the grant, and I asked this specifically, if we don't get this grant, what happens to what we've already got in the system? We have the maps, all the commissioners receive the maps of where we are, where we need to go. If we don't get the grant, it means it slows us down. It doesn't stop us, it just slows us down. If we get the grant, it speeds it up. We can build better, faster in these towns such as Sunbury and Coral Peak and Holly Grove and all of those. They already have Ure, I think, just about covered and others. But we want to make sure we can move quickly. The commissioners also have a handout from the Vice President of Broadband. REC hired a Vice President of Broadband. I don't know what that is, but anyway, he has sent us a handout and show us not only the maps, but what they intend to do from 2021 to 2024. Do I have any questions, commissioners?
Sounds like a hard work.
So, REC, Roanoke Electric, is already in the county. They also is building a rural, let me get my notes. When they ask for a partnership or covered partnership, they also has to have a task force. We are on that task force with them. And the other counties Halifax, I'm looking at Ms. Green Holly because she's the grant writer. Halifax, Bertie, Northampton, Gates, and Hertford. Those are the typical, we have been asked to serve on a task force going forward. All the entities, even the one in Chowan and Paquimans, will have to have a task force to have broad-based input on what's going on in your own county. So Gates County is going to be part of this Rural Divide Digital Task Force, and I'll get the name right when I send it out. But that's what's happening as far as the update of where we are with Roanoke. Now, we have also been asked to partner with Albemarle Commission. So Commissioner Hoffler is on the board. And we have got the email. I said, okay, we'll go and we'll sit down with Albemarle Commission and see what they have to say. In your packet, again, and on your desk in front of you, you received the information that we received from Albemarle Commission. They are partnering with an engineering firm called Mighty River, I believe, out of Nevada, and also the North Carolina Rural Center, I believe. So that's also in your packet, and I'm going to yield to Commissioner Hoffler to lead that discussion.
Okay, and I'm sure you will,
I'll
anything
jump
I
in.
forget, you will include me in. The Albemarle Commission is made up of 10 counties in northeastern North Carolina, and they are trying to put together a broadband initiative as well. In our Albemarle region, we have about 172,000 people. You know, these are small counties, and they can't go it alone. So, you know, we're joining together to try, or the Albemarle Commission is trying to join this together to promote this. It is called a whole community approach. It has been tried in all parts of the country, and in fact in North Carolina, with 7 North Carolina counties, and I believe that is in the western areas of our state. And what they do, they use MCNC as well, the dark fiber that is already available. That is what county governments, the schools, co-op, and all have that at the present time. It's already in the ground. And that is the first step in the process. And they're going to use, as they are going to expand, to have more capacity than what the government institutions and schools and all will need, and they can use that for that first initiative. And it's already in the grind at some places, and it is a MCNC is a 501c3 organization already. So this is a group that's had experience. The Mighty Rivers is in Nevada right now, but they were also in North Carolina, as I said. They want to form the first step in the process is to, well, let me just say that. Last year, the demand for broadband went up 40% in this region because of COVID. And with the school systems, with businesses, it is for economic development, we need to get broadband here for schools and economic development with businesses. Businesses do not want to come and you don't have broadband. And we have to have it at 25.3 at least, which is 25, what is it? The 25 is download,
Please,
and 3 is upload.
Download.
Dr. Riddick and I have learned a lot about broadband, and there's so much more to learn. And in our region, it is typically 20 to 40% of the area has less than, 93% of Congressional District 1, 89% of Congressional District 2 are below 25.3. So we are all in the desert, so to speak, with some islands that have it. And no provider in this area meets the FCC definition of adequate broadband, and that's 25.3. For the first step is to do a task force data gathering to look at our vertical assets in our region where we can connect to take the fiber. That middle mile sometimes is that problem. And they are looking for that, and they have East Carolina University is giving a engineering map with the latest data on that. So the first phase is with the EDA to, no, I'm jumping ahead of myself. The engineering process to see where the areas are that we have to run it for that middle mile. And we are looking at doing that with vertical assets from cell towers, from water towers across, and then that final mile will be in the grain again. So that is the idea for that. And we need an engineering mapping on how we can connect. We want universal service in the region. Any and all providers are welcome, but this is where this makes it different. Instead of CenturyLink or different groups owning the fiber, it will be owned by the Albemarle Commission, and they will lease it out to people so that they will control the price of it. And that's one of the things to look at that we are concerned about, the cost of what it would be to our citizens. We want it reliable, cost-effective, and the third one, it was, oh gosh, I've read that again this morning. Reliable, cost-effective, and I can't remember what the third one was. But that is what they are doing, and they are preparing the paperwork to get this on the first step, and they are working with NC Rural, they are working with Golden Leaf, they are working with, there's another one.
EDA.
But they're working with players that we are very familiar with. So that is what they are trying to do, using the dark fiber, then doing with, with the, from the towers and all for that middle mile, and then putting it in the grain for the final mile. So that is their idea. And if you, in your package, you have this, and this is called the broadband, the whole community approach. I would advise you to read that.
Any questions or comments for Commissioner Hoffler?
I believe I have a question for you first, Dr. Riddick.
Okay.
5 counties, I believe, we talked about. And we, on the NTIA, you said $1.9 million was a potential for that. And we've applied for it.
We have.
Okay. Suppose one of the other 4 partners is not being as aggressive as we are, and we're doing this community approach, we're sharing, but we get out there and run, and we have a lot of success, and maybe another county, for some reason, does not have success. Where does our 1.9 that stays in Gates County?
Stays here.
Okay, all right, so, and the community approach is to prevent any overlapping, I understand that.
Right, it stays here.
All right, and Commissioner Hoffler said something about part of it being in the air. Have we heard anything from the other folks about that being a potential, or is that not their game?
That's not what they're looking at. They're looking at fiber and fixed input in the ground.
Okay.
And they, Roanoke Electric owns the poles. They're an electric company.
Right.
And so they own it anyway. They own the right of way. And they already have 2 hubs. Those 2 hubs were put there intentionally, one in Paducah and one in Eastern Scrolls Road, and that's how they're going to spread it out. They want the fiber to run to the fire stations, and especially, where we have the fire stations, and that would take care of, of course, they must communicate.
Right.
As well as the rescue squad and things like that. They're looking at the churches, because they can spoke out, and S-P-O-K, they can spoke out from there like a hub.
Right.
And, most of our churches are in rural areas. Gatesville's fine. That this is a municipality, and so it's an incorporated town. So that's one of the reasons we can't touch the ARC money, because the ARC money is for incorporated towns. And they put it there And just because you see a grant and they say you got billions of dollars, well, you got to access it. And we couldn't access it. Not only us, a lot of the counties can't until they get that House Bill 815 passed. So it's not going to be, up in the air or whatever. Now, we don't know about 20 years from now, but right now, they're scaling it up so that as they get more, something comes back, come forth, technology-wise, that may be better or faster, they can scale it up. That's why they're doing it that. But when I was talking with the engineers, they didn't say a word about, and I asked, because Hyde County has a partnership where theirs are in the air. It's SpaceX or something. And then Ocracoke Island is doing something different because they're totally surrounded by water. So they're ordering their own light. You get a kit and you put it on your porch, and you get your own whatever, because they don't have any trees. And Hyde County don't have any trees, so they can do stuff like that. But when you look at our geographic area and how we are, we got water, we got trees, we got this and that and the other. The thing I saw and have heard for the last 2 or 3 months, and Tim, you can jump in because you on the call too now. Don't let me sit here and get myself in trouble.
You're doing great.
by myself. But we don't, we have to go where we can go, and they have that right of way. And that's why those hubs in Ruduka and in Easton's Crossroads. So when they go out, it's $37,000 per mile, I believe. But it could be more than that. It was almost $97,000 per mile, but they have all the equipment already. They have everything they need, so it's down to $37,000. Now, what may happen, and let me just say this, with the supply chain being as they are, and everybody gonna want fiber, guess what? It's gonna back it up, because everybody's gonna be ordering fiber and the equipment.
Back ordered.
Yes, back order. So it may slow us down, but not because of something we have done. It's because of the supply chain and demand for fiber that's gonna, and they have built that in too. When I talked to Curtis and his people and talked to Reba, because that's how I know so much, because Tim and I helped her with that grant, and Kim Outland, thank you, Kim, she got it in grants.gov. And we learned so much, couldn't even get in there one time, you know how to get the thing in there, but anyway. It just makes sense. And we have partnered with REC forever, as far, what we've done with them, with broadband. And they also have a program, other programs that would help the citizens pay for it. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they're trying to make that, it came from the government, like temporary because of COVID. Well, now on the House floor, I think it's on the House floor, they want to make that permanent so that you can get $50 towards your internet bill if you qualify, or $75, whatever. I think it's $50. They want to get it up to $75. Depends on how expensive it is. So there's a lot of things going on, but I don't want the citizens or these commissioners to think that this is it. We still have to write grants.
Right. So my next question is probably for Reba. Have we, do we also, we only have one municipality, being Gatesville. Do we need to be communicating with the town council if there's another pot of money out there that they could write a grant for to possibly, if they got $250,000 or something like that? Every dollar would be useful.
I would suggest that you communicate with them, one, because we always need letters of support for the grant. This particular NTIA grant required a covered partnership, meaning the entities that would be responsible for implementing the grant, which was Gates County and Roanoke Chowan Holdings, which is the broadband entity for Roanoke Electric. And we did not need any additional letters of support. We just needed to list the other entities that we felt would be supportive through marketing, the internet for subscriptions and support. So we listed the town of Gatesville along with the Chamber of Commerce and several others. But there are other grants that might require more letters of support. And what can happen is I can send them, when it's an opportune time, a draft, and then they can edit it or provide whatever information that they want in that covered letter. But I would like to say that Roanoke Electric, Roanoke Connect Holdings broadband, a lot of people think it's only for Roanoke Electric members. It is not. When they come through, if you're not a Roanoke Electric member and you're en route you can get that broadband. You need to go on the website and do the little survey with your address that you want it. And when they get ready to come through, their marketing people will contact each and every one to let them know, we're coming through, do you want to sign up? You are not obligated until you actually send in your connect fee. And members do not have to pay the connect fee. The non-members would have to pay the connect fee, which is $99.
I have a question. How about if the Roanoke Chowan lines do not go by certain roads? You know, they are not on all roads in the county.
They are trying to go and cover as many households as possible through this grant-making opportunities. So they're not trying to leave out any part of the county. They're trying to be as expansive as possible. One of the difference, because I've had the discussion with Roanoke Electric and they've had discussion with Albemarle, the difference between the two plans. Roanoke Electric is providing a fiber to the premise.
It's hard to say.
And that is the most reliable broadband service there is currently. And when you look at what Hyde and them are providing, the air, because they can't get fiber to them, that's not as reliable as what Roanoke Electric is providing. Secondly, Roanoke Electric is trying to get to the last mile. And the last mile, for those who don't understand, are your households that don't have broadband now, because your legacy providers will not come to you because it does not fit in their business plan to make money. So they're not coming to you because they can't make money coming to you.
Households per mile.
Right,
basically.
households per mile. Roanoke Electric is trying to get to you. In the Albemarle plan, they're looking at trying to get a hub around county government and then have the legacy providers then contract to provide broadband to the last mile. Well, they're not providing it now, so why are they gonna provide it then?
Because they won't get the contract if they don't.
But if they get the contract,
I
that
mean,
doesn't still mean that they're going to provide it. Case in point, you have legacy providers right now who have gotten government grants through grant-funded programs and through bid process. They have bidded low to outbid other carriers as low as $10,000 to bring broadband to that area. And you heard Dr. Riddick say, it's $30,000 plus to bring broadband per mile if you have the equipment. It's $97,000 plus if you don't have the equipment. So they will bid and block that census tract. And then no other legacy carrier can come in and provide service to that census tract because it's already covered by that legacy carrier that bid on that. And then they don't provide the service and they pay the clawback, which is the penalty for not providing it, but they can afford it and they can still sit there and block anybody else from coming through. And that is what's happening with the legacy carriers when you talk about a contract with them or this or that. That's what's happening. We need broadband, money's out here, you can't get to it for this census tract or that census tract because this group bid so low and got the bid, but knowing they can't provide it at that amount. And the last thing, you said something about, it just left me. I've learned more about broadband than I ever wanted to know, but just the politics of broadband is, if it doesn't fit my business model, I'm not gonna provide it for you. And they're blocking those who are trying to provide it for you. I think also Albemarle Commission was asking for a dollar amount from every county to support them. And what was that?
Well, that's still up for, we might not need any if we get the EDA engineering.
And the EDA grant, that is money that has just been opened up for anybody to bid on, anybody to write a grant for, is not promised to anybody.
No,
Right.
it's not.
Anybody who wants to apply can apply if they fit their recommendations for the entities that are approved to apply for that grant. So it's not a done deal, it's not something that, oh, EDA is gonna give us money. No, application has to be submitted along with everybody else and then judged as to whether you get those funds or not. So, and even though I write grants for Roanoke Electric, with the amount of information I've gained, when I look at this plan and I look at this plan, I know enough now to ask, what does this mean? And if you're talking about just providing a circle of service right here and not providing it to the last mile, it is not doing Gates County any help whatsoever if you're not going to try to provide it to the last mile. Any other
questions?
Madam Chairman, yes, ma'am. Just on the grant part, Ms. Holly, are those grants they're applying for at that lower rate, are they 75-25 or 100% grant or 50-50 or do
It
you know?
depends on the grant. This last grant highly recommended a 10% match. They didn't require it, but in the grant guidelines, it said, we highly recommend you provide a 10% match.
So do we check the block? Did we plug in a number when we submitted that grant?
Right, it had to be
REC did
10% of that 1.9 million.
Oh, so that's
They paid it, that's what I was talking about.
Roanoke
That part,
Electric
the match
paid
there.
that.
They paid it, we don't owe, I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have to pay any money.
We don't have to pay
Roanoke
any
picked it
money.
up for us.
Right. Okay.
Each grant is different for what they ask as far as a match.
Yes, ma'am. And this is just a question because the way we kind of analyze things, I think all of us together, and that is there a watchdog committee or anything that kind of looks over that to make sure that, that these folks that are applying grants to block counties such as us from
That is in discussion now with all the powers that be concerning that same issue. Also, what's in discussion are the maps that are available showing broadband availability. Right now, the maps were generated by the telecommunications, national telecommunications and the phone companies. So they have them set up so if I provide one household in a census tract broadband, I can claim the whole census tract. So in essence, if you all are a census tract and I come to your house and provide you with broadband, I can say I have it available for all of y'all, even though when you call me, I tell you only your house can get it. And that's the way the maps are drawn right now. So when they tell you to go in and pick a census tract you're going to provide broadband, if another entity has said they provide that service and show it, then that kicks you out of providing service, even though you know one household out of 10 can only get it. So they are working now, trying to work with the legislators and everybody to get that changed.
Good. Thank you, ma'am.
I went online and did the survey.
Good.
Yeah, I did it for a business, and I did it for residential. I think it's 5 questions.
That's all.
It's like 5, maybe 6, 7 questions. We need to, citizens, everybody, you need to tell your grandchildren and your children, get them to come to the computer and fill out that survey. It is just so simple, and it's not high-tech. You'll understand the questions. You know, it's like, do you have a computer at home? You know, do you use it every day? You know, it's just, that may not be one of the questions, but the questions are that simple. And the more people who fill that out, it's going to ask you for your address, so it gives you a little pin cushion on the map. It tells where everybody is interested in it being successful and seeing it spread to. So we really need to do that.
And right now, when the legacy carriers came to Gates County, all they would give you was 10-1, 10 down, 1 up. And I think they've gone, they may be a little bit higher in some areas. I know I called to try to get a higher speed because I'm not on Roanoke Chowan Holdings yet. I'm waiting. And I'm earmarked to be on it, but I'm waiting. And they would say that's all you can get. Roanoke Connect Holdings started out with 25.3 off the bat.
Well, the government won't fund anything unless it's 25.3.
Now,
Yeah.
before it was 10-1, and they started off with 25.3 when they could have provided 10-1. And you can get up to 1 gigabyte also, and they have 5 plans that you can select from. The lowest being if you just need just some basic internet, all the way up if you have all this data you have to upload, download, etc. So you have 5 options you can choose from as a plan.
And I believe that survey is still on our county website. I think you can go there.
I think it is. We will check. The board clerk will check. If not, we'll put it back up there.
Just click on it and fill it out. A minute, maybe tops. That's all it takes.
Didn't take much.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you,
saving
ma'am.
us.
Thank you, Rick.
Do we need a recess? Or you want to keep going? That's a
Let's
question.
keep going.
Keep going. Okay, new business, because the grant discussion, that was the discussion. I folded it all into one. Budget amendment F-22-004, Sheriff Department salary increases and new personnel.
Anybody from the Sheriff's Department here?
No?
Did see some.
Who is it?
Sheriff's here.
Okay.
Discussion?
Would the sheriff like to come to the podium?
What's the pleasure of the commissioners? Mr. Owens?
Well, you can always assure the Sheriff's Department, in my opinion, that the commissioner is going to support them. And we are looking at a big number here. And he states in his document over on page 4 what he's up against with recruiting from other counties, and that's a reality. And I understand that. There might have been, in his explanation, there might have been one particular increase that, in the salary increase that was a little more, Sheriff, than what we're accustomed to. So I'll ask Commissioner Freeman. Well, I could get the sheriff up here, but has the sheriff talked about he talked about filling these positions right away? The 2 positions? I know he's probably trying to.
I don't know that I'm qualified to speak for the sheriff. However, I know that he wants to fill the positions as rapidly and as quick as he can, due to certainly we've even experienced the loss of one more since our last meeting. So if that's your question.
So can I ask, this amendment that he's asking for, this adjustment, is for the 2 additional deputies. It does not include that increase in one position salary. Okay, you asked,
Come to the podium. Welcome, Sheriff Campbell.
We went ahead and budgeted that. because
Okay, for the
that's
two positions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it does not include the increase in salary for one position. I think they got some additional certification, correct?
I believe that's right, and I know he is good with not getting that big increase until he is certified. He totally understands that part of it. But he is in class, and hopefully he will have his certification in January. We went ahead and budgeted that because if we don't have the money to give him then, I mean, he would at that point be a chief deputy. And the chief deputy makes a considerable amount of money, a lot more than 33.
I think, Sheriff, I think you also indicated around page 4 that that increase was consistent with surrounding positions,
Yes, sir.
chief deputy. Okay.
When that person came on, I just seems like I remember that he had retired from somewhere.
He was probation.
Probate, and that's why you could hire him at the rate you did.
Well, he actually he was hired on about the same rate as a deputy. He does considerably more than just a deputy. So, he, just an example, he does all the logistics for court, he runs court, he makes all the orders, purchase orders and everything like that. He takes care of all that. So he is invaluable to me. And quite frankly, we're gonna be in a pinch because of what he's trying to do right now. Going to school from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock every night, and then still trying to come in and help me during the daytime. So it's gonna be a strain on him. But he wants to do this. So we're supporting him. But they're actually doing more hours in Martin County than he was led to believe, because they're trying to get through it before COVID shuts him down. So his class that was supposed to run from 6 to 9 is running from 6 to 10 to 6 to 11. Weekends, he thought he was gonna be every other weekend off. He's gonna have to go to class Saturday and Sundays, weekends. And so it is an extremely hard class and extremely time consuming.
I thought when he came up that because of his retirement from probation, there was some stipulation. I thought you said that he couldn't make a certain amount of money.
And that's why he took what he took when we hired him. But he went in and checked on that, and that was not the case. I could have paid him more, but he wasn't a certified deputy. So this is what he's trying to go through and accomplish now to become certified.
So Sheriff, it's fair to say that you're putting this new increase, you're doing it all at one time. Some of it you may have to do now, but some certainly for this particular gentleman in January, most likely.
That will come later.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I looked at what you put for what he does for the department. And when he does something for the department, he's doing that for the citizens of the county. You can say those two sentences together, it means the same thing.
Yes, sir.
If we had to replace, just take that person, if we had to replace that person, we'd be looking at this number that you're talking about anyway.
He has saved us quite a bit of money doing what he's doing now for the last 3 years. And we couldn't get him into class. You only have classes twice a year.
Right.
So the first year, he didn't have to go to class. Last year, I just couldn't get him in. I was so short-handed, I couldn't get him into class. So he's actually having to go to night class. He can't go doing, the daytime classes.
Well, this is something we made some phone calls on with each other, because we want to do the right thing, and we want to feel good about it. We want the citizens to feel good about it. So I just want to say to the public, Commissioner Freeman, if you'll let me, and then I just want to say to the public that our sheriff's department is doing a great job. And the sheriff is faced with people trying to recruit his deputies.
I had 2 procurement officers in my office yesterday trying to recruit 2 more. These guys are on the way out. When somebody comes and lays 10 grand more on the table, what am I gonna do? I
We-
can't hold them.
We've trained these people, your department.
Yes, they love the county, but, you know, I've told you guys this before, the bottom line is the money. And surrounding counties, they have moved their pay up for starting deputies, certified deputies, to around $40,000. And us being able to start a certified deputy at 36, we're getting there, but we're not there. You know, matter of fact, the chief told me today that he talked to a class that's getting ready to graduate. They're all already hired. And he went in and said something about, you know, what do you think about coming to Gates County? When I said, well, where you starting at? No, I'm not coming over there for that. So it is getting harder and harder to find people. I've got some people that want to come here to work, but they're out of Virginia. Their certification is out of Virginia. They're probably good officers, but what I'll have to go through with them is a pretty extensive, they can challenge the state exam for one. They don't have to go through the 16 weeks or the 28 weeks, but it's still several weeks of training that they'll have to go through. They still have to pass the state exam. That's the bottom line. They can go through the classes and do fine, but passing the state exam, and that's what kicks out a lot. I think the last class in Martin County, they had 15 in the class, 9 flunked the state exam. So then they got to go through the whole process again. So.
Well, I'll finish up just to say that when you say you support the sheriff's department, I know that means money. And I know that it means also means supporting the sheriff's department and the deputies on the street by saying good things about the deputies and saying good things about the sheriff's department. That's what we need the people to say, too. I mean, you need that kind of support. You need that moral support, and you need the financial support from the board, but that financial support, citizens, comes from you, too, because you're the one paying the bill. I came here with sort of sitting on the fence, Madam Chair, but I called my colleagues today and talked to them. I called the county manager, and we chatted some. We want to do the right thing, and I'll yield to Commissioner Freeman.
Thank you, Commissioner Owens. I just wanted to add a couple of things just to kind of clarify as other folks here. The sheriff's talking about someone that is working in a department that's not certified. It doesn't mean they're not doing their job. It just means they're not certified as a deputy sheriff. Therefore, they don't fall in with the range, as we've talked with our finance officer about that. And that particular individual in that case has been operating as a non-certified, but sworn as a bailiff, but not sworn as a deputy sheriff for this period of time. Since they don't have that, then they don't qualify for those particular areas. The other thing, just to say something about what the sheriff's talking about, we know we're up in Virginia working on some characters from Gates County. I didn't say citizens, just characters from Gates County, and finding out from them that Virginia Beach Police Department looking for officers from any other department, a sign-on bonus of $20,000, plus they pick up all the benefits they had elsewhere and add their time into their retirement at Virginia Beach. So not only will we be battling that right here in North Carolina, but we'll be battling across the line too. And there's no way to catch up, and I'm not saying we are going to catch up, but just to give you an idea of what law enforcement generally is running across the nation, because it's a business that's necessary, but it's a business that's not been looked after for years.
It breaks my heart when a guy comes and tells me, like, Sheriff, would you be upset with me if I got out of law enforcement? If I just completely got out of it, I can make more money doing something else. I had to tell him, I don't blame you. I hate to see you go, but you gotta look after you. You gotta look after your family. That's what I'm fighting. I've got 2 more on the fence. They may leave next week. They may leave tomorrow. I got another one that's already done his interview. He's gonna be with me probably at the maximum 6 more months. 6 more months, and he will be gone.
Yeah, when you talk about supporting your family, it's not just other departments that you're competing with. You're competing with other industries too.
And in today's climate, it is, the police are under attack, unfortunately.
And this same individual, to help support his family, he's gonna be working part-time with another agency. He's gonna work here, and then on his days off, he's gonna jump right back, with a gun and a badge, and work on his days off to try to make a little more money. And that's what's leading him to get completely out of law enforcement, and it breaks my heart.
Okay,
My guy, just as a side note, my guys have saved 4 citizens in this county in the last month. They've got to them before EMS and saved their life by getting Narcan to them on overdoses. The last one, they did CPR, and the guy was completely gone. They kept him alive till EMS got there. 4 in the last month. We've had 2 more overdoses in this county in the last 4 days. They were deaths. We are fighting this thing with heroin and drugs as hard as we can. There's no stopping it. These people that have been doing it for years and years and years, and they know when they put it in them, it can kill them, yet they still do it. But my guys are fighting. Like I say, they do the best they can. My 2 youngest deputies that I have got to a double overdose, and they saved both of them.
Amen.
Yes.
well, thank you, Sheriff Campbell. You just got to know that the commissioners always will support law enforcement. We just have limited resources. We're going to do everything we
That's
can.
true.
We're
I
gonna
mean, we
do
ask
everything.
questions, but that's our job too.
We're just asking questions to clarify before I ask for the pleasure of the board. So thank you for coming to the podium.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Now, I will ask, what is the pleasure of the board? A motion to approve, disapprove, table, something in between? I'm just asking for a motion.
I would make a motion, Madam Chairman, if you'd allow me to, not as my position, but as a commissioner, make a motion that we accept that amendment, and so move.
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Oh, I was going second, but go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second. Are there any other discussion? Hearing none, ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Moving right along. Motion approved.
Very well.
Okay, next on the agenda is County Manager Report Review of County Noise Ordinance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have had, the opportunity to review the county noise ordinance. It is brief in its construction, which is not uncommon for rural localities. And looking at this, no, it does not get into the details of decibel levels, zoning districts, things that you would find in more urban areas. A lot of times people have the misconception if they move to a rural area, it's going to be peace and quiet and tranquility. Often what they fail to understand is that they may be trading in one nuisance situation for another, depending on where you're at. From what I understand, there has not been many complaints at all concerning the construct or the content of this ordinance. I also bring to the attention of the board that not all problems and issues can be resolved by government regulation, as much as you may try or wish that be the case. Actually, this section speaks to that. And I've spoken with the citizen who contacted me on this issue and advised of this alternative remedy. I've consulted with the county attorney on this. He agrees with my reading of this part of the county code, where it talks about, where a property owner or citizen, cannot seek relief through the regulations as presented in this ordinance, or perhaps even from the decisions that have been rendered by the enforcement official, which in this case happens to be the sheriff's department. that they do have similar remedies, that they do have the courts that they can turn to if they believe that a person is damaging or interfering with their lawful use and quiet enjoyment of their property. And I believe that that's a more appropriate remedy in agricultural districts. And problems inherent with enforcing noise ordinance violations is that the violation itself can be many times very fleeting in nature. Even when you get into a detailed ordinance about decibel levels, what zoning district, what time of day. As soon as the person who may be creating the sound that may actually constitute a violation or a nuisance, as soon as they see the law enforcement or the code enforcement vehicle drive up, all they have to do is cease with their activity. So all of the work that you may put into very exacting standards in an ordinance would be for naught because of the fleeting nature and how quickly the violations can be ceased. It's only, I've actually administered very complex noise ordinances, and very rarely did they go to court, and really the only ones that we were successful with were ones that were not of a fleeting nature. It was maybe mechanical equipment, you know, from a commercial building, something that simply could not be turned off or something. And generally the property owners understood that, and then they worked with the locality, understanding that it did exceed the noise and decibel levels. But with all that said, I would not recommend any changes to the ordinance at this point. I'm not sure that, you know, a few number of complaints warrants a rewrite of the ordinance. I'm also not convinced that a rewrite of the ordinance with specific standards would actually remedy the violation that's being complained of here as of late, because it is one that is fleeting in nature and can be stopped at any time that a law enforcement official would appear, even if it was to measure the decibel levels. But I leave it to the board's discretion. If you see fit otherwise, I can try to produce a more precise ordinance. I would still have the same concerns about the ability of enforcement then.
The revision on that document, does it have a revision date on the copy that you had?
From what I see, the last time this ordinance was revised, I believe, was it identifies, and actually it's the one that speaks about the civil remedies, you know, the private owner, you know, taking the issue to court, and that was in March of 2005.
Okay. I remember a conversation. It went on for quite some time, and basically, the decision was what the document states and what you've added to it. It's hard to quantify what is the scenario, and then if it's not constant, for example, the only time I can cut my grass might be the only time my neighbor's favorite program is on, you know? And how do you resolve that? You know, I think it needs to remain a civil situation where if it's really that bad, then go to the court and let the court settle it. Government's not here to fix everything. So I concur with what you said. Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we make no changes to our noise ordinance. That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. There will be no changes to the current county noise ordinance. Next, we'll have the county manager report for water system billing and payment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a set of recommendations I wish to discuss with the board this evening. This comes out of, I know, before I arrived here, the board had appointed a committee of Commissioners Owen and Hoffler to take a look at the water billing system and some complaints that they had been receiving. So I have done some investigation into that. I've met recently with the staff, both with the water department and customer service to, to further, discuss the complaints that were heard and to, to seek their assistance and their input that, in my mind, that some of the complaints that I heard that evening in that presentation, I felt had some legitimacy to them and that there were things that could be corrected. So with that said, I'll start just with a quick overview of, what is the current practice for water billing. The present practice is that water bills are sent out monthly, and those bills are sent out on the last business day of the month. The due date for paying that bill is the 16th of the next month. And after that date, if that bill has not been paid, a 10% penalty is added. So you have your water bill plus a 10% penalty attached to it. By state statute, you have to have a due date within 10 days, and no sooner than 10 days after that due date, the locality can move to actually have the water disconnected, that service discontinued until such time the bill and all monies owed have been paid. Gates County exercises that, and under our current practice, if by the 26th of the month, the bill as well as the penalty has not been paid, then the service is shut off. And the water remains shut off until the amount owed the county, being the original bill and the penalty, are paid. And in addition to that, there is a $40 service fee that is also charged by the county for having to come out and reestablish the service at the residence. So it's the bill, the penalty, and the $40 service fee that all must be paid in the case of someone not paying the bill, being that delinquent. After meeting with the staff, taking into account the information from the committee's report in this matter, I am recommending that the following changes be made in the water billing process. First, and probably most instrumental in this, is that water billing will move from a billing frequency of once a month for each customer to once every 2 months they will receive a bill. This will result in each customer being billed 6 times a year as opposed to 12 times a year. The water bills are generally small in nature. I believe that this is a very manageable payment still, even though it would be for 2 months of service on the bill. I believe the bills are so small that they are manageable. By doing this action, there's a number of cost savings that are involved if you go to a billing once every 2 months. This will actually reduce the cost that the county currently incurs in conducting the reading of the water meters, the preparation of the billing that has to be processed and mailed out, and then the process of the payments that are received from that building. All of those activities, by reducing the billing period by 50%, reduces all of these activities by 50%, and therefore we realize a 50% cost savings in each of those. Second, the bills will still be sent out at the end of the month, and they will continue to be due by the 16th of the month. After the 16th and up to the 16th, I'm recommending that there will no longer be a 10% penalty imposed. By law, we do have to recognize that 10-day period between a due date and a cutoff date, but there's nothing that requires us to impose a penalty during that period, and I am recommending that be removed. That will be replaced too. We will, name that period as either a payment warning or a grace period for those who, for whatever reason, may find themselves, not able to make the payment on the 16th due date. Now, after the 16th of the billing month, if the bill still hasn't been paid in full, the water service will be shut off, as is the current practice. Water service will be returned upon full payment of the actual bill. Once again, there'll be no penalty, and the payment of the service reconnection fee. As noted earlier, that service fee is presently $40 for the water department to go back out and reestablish that service. I am recommending that that fee be increased to $60. I do that for two reasons. One, it's to reflect that customers now are being provided an extra 10 days in which they can make payment on their water bill penalty-free, which I think that's one thing that was heard, was they felt that there was not enough time being provided to pay the bill. This plan would provide 10 additional days penalty-free. And I believe that by increasing that service fee for the reconnection, hopefully that will be an incentive to prompt customers to pay their bills on time. And this increase in the service fee, as well as the service fee in its totality, can be completely avoided. It's all within the hands of the customer. All they have to do is pay the bill on time, and we're giving them an extra day, 10 days to do that penalty-free. How this will be implemented is that the water department will divide the county into two basically equally geographic regions, wherein customers in one region will receive their bills on the odd months, because they're going to be receiving it once every 2 months, and the other half will receive their bills on the even months of the year. I plan on providing ample public notice about this change in the billing cycle, the extension of the time periods to pay without penalty, as well as the increase in the service fee for the reestablishment of the service. Tentatively, I'd like to see this plan go into effect with the bills that would be issued at the end of October of this year, and if not then, I feel very confident that it can be implemented by the end of November. And I said part of that is going to be establishing the two billing regions, and also to try to give the public ample notice of the change. The savings of this proposal reduce all the associated costs with the water billing by 1/2. This will result in a time saving as well for the water department, and one of the key priorities of this time saving will be to devise a schedule to begin the replacement or repair of inoperable water meters, thus capturing water revenues that are presently being lost by the county, because where those situation occurs, they only receive a minimum payment. And we're also losing treated water. That's water that has a value to it. So we recapture a little bit of that cost of treated water that's simply leaking out into the ground. I hope the board finds this plan to be satisfactory, and I highly recommend its immediate implementation. I will continue to work with the staff in finding ways to improve the delivery and billing of water services, but I submit to you this is an important first step in that process for both the county and the water customers. And I welcome any comments, criticisms, suggestions the board may have.
Okay. Can I just make sure I have clarified? The bill goes out at the end of the month. It is still due the 16th. There's no penalty until the 26th. I mean, it'll be shut off on the 26th.
That's right. There will no longer
Won't be any penalties.
There'll no longer be a penalty time period between the 16th and the 26th, but we do have to have that period established in there in order to do a shut
Yeah.
off.
I understand that because of state law. So everybody should have plenty of time to get it in.
Commissioner Freeman?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. County Manager, do you have an idea monetarily wise how much we would be saving? Say 1/2.
No, I didn't get down to the crunching of the numbers, but yes. One of the things that I also want to do, I would like to implement this and to see, since we will be receiving one half of, or producing one half of the billings that we're accustomed to each month, and also processing and receiving one half of the bills, I would like to give that a couple of months to see if that can all now be internally processed by staff, because currently we do have a private vendor that does assist in that, and that does have a cost associated with that. And my goal would be, I'm hopeful that with this type of reduction of one half, that we may be able to eliminate that service. But I would like to see that in actual billing occurrences, for a few months to see how that goes.
All right, I can understand it, because you're looking at a lot of, potentially a lot of savings, wear and tear, then, like I say, giving time for employees to reactivate meters that are gone, or whatever the case
Give more
might be.
time.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because, going around covering, 350 square mile, it's employees' time, it's wear and tear on vehicles, it's gasoline.
mailing too, I mean,
The
there's.
mailing too. Yes, the
Yeah,
cost of postage and all that will be cut by one half by this.
Sounds like someone has some financial background.
Any more discussion or questions or clarification? Do I have a commissioner put a motion on the floor?
I move that we put this plan into effect.
And I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
We have a motion to implement the plan of the county manager, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Don't hear anybody. Okay, so moved.
Thank you.
Thank you, County Manager.
Yes.
Okay. Adoption of resolution for broadband grant project. We sent in the grant, and one of the things we had to send with, was supposed to send with the grant, was a resolution supporting this project. We already sent we approved the grant, writing of the grant, but now we need to have this resolution inserted into grant. And I think it was due yesterday, and I shared with the grant writer that we didn't meet until the 18th. So as soon as we can pass this, we'll send it right off and get it in, because the grant was supposed to go in yesterday. We sent it in Friday. And so I think, I'm looking at the grant writer here, this is what we decided to do. We had to do, because we got to get this resolution in to accompany this grant. So it's a resolution supporting Roanoke Connect broadband project, whereas the Gates County Board of Commissioners has previously expressed its commitment to advancing the deployment of broadband technologies and broadband access across the county. And whereas current statistics illustrate that the United States is falling behind many other nations in terms of broadband deployment, adoption, and affordability. And whereas all county citizens and businesses deserve affordable access to the educational, civic, economic, and informational benefits that broadband access delivers. And whereas the Roanoke Connect project provides a broadband solution that provides affordable broadband to the citizens and businesses of the county. And whereas access to Roanoke Connect's reliable broadband internet service is essential for our county's economy in order to grow and compete in the 21st century. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Gates County convene at its August 18, 2021 meeting, embraces the principles expressed in this resolution, and seek to speed the deployment of affordable broadband technologies with the Roanoke Connect project across the county, and be it further resolved that the Board of County Commissioners supports the Roanoke Connect project that brings internet solutions to the residents, businesses, and visitors of Gates County, and be it further resolved that the Board of County Commissioners directs its county manager, with his express consent, to communicate this resolution, including supporting initiatives that seek to improve and speed broadband deployment across Gates County, to all relevant policymakers, including federal and state agencies in Congress, broadband partners, and stakeholders, adopted this 18th day of August 2021 by the Gates County Board of Commissioners. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we adopt this resolution supporting Roanoke Connect broadband project.
I'll second that motion, Madam Chairman.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
Very good.
Now we have a North Carolina Department of Transportation update from Commissioner Freeman.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, I think. First, I certainly want to thank our North Carolina Department of Transportation, but also our division office and our field office here in Gates County and Elizabeth City for backing Gates County and looking for ways to look after some of our secondary roads, plus some of our subdivisions. We don't have that many subdivisions, however, they are kind of coming apart, and North Carolina State Department of Transportation stepped up to take it over. So first of all, I'd like to report that very soon they're going to begin repaving Highway 13 from Tar Heel to the Virginia line. And they explained to me that's going to be 1.5 inch at least of pavement to take care of that traffic. So that will be new pavement there. They're also going to work on Whitehurst Road, and they're going to go from Willerton through the cul-de-sac and Emily Street and Louise Street. Kelly Street will be repaved to a certain degree. However, some people within the subdivision have not signed a petition for them to do that. So any people that may be listening from Whitehurst that live in that area and want to make sure that their area is going to be repaved and paved and taken over by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. What happens in subdivisions, we all know, is it builds up and at that point, it is in the possession of whomever did the selling and the building of the residences and the streets. After a period of time, they begin to deteriorate. And the state does not want to take it over because that's a costly thing. The developer has disappeared or does not want to take over the streets either. So North Carolina State Department of Transportation is willing to do that, and they are doing that in the Whitehurst area, and they will take over all those streets. So if you contact me or contact me as your commissioner, what I'll do is make that, give you what regulations they have and have that done. So the other thing, there'll be repaving from the North Carolina line up to Willerton Road on Drum Hill Road. That entire section of Drum Hill Road, that'll get 1.5 inches. So that's the update at this stage. I have, Madam Chairman, what the general statute of North Carolina Department of Transportation, that just requirements for addition of subdivision roads and system. I'm not going to read that to you. I didn't even like reading it myself. So I'm sure no one else would like that. However, I do have it, and I have some forms if somebody wants to contact me and get the forms so that they can get a board in that subdivision. So,
You can give that to the clerk to the board.
yes, ma'am.
She'll disseminate them for you.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Do you have anything about cleaning the ditches? You bought
Yeah,
something?
well, part of the program is that for North Carolina, for us, meaning the county through the state, to take over those roads, the ditches have to be cleaned. And some ditches there, in Whitehurst, I think there's about 2 inch pines growing in the ditch. They're not gonna touch that if those ditches are not clean. And that's, for the flow of the water and other things that are going on, because the roots and what have you will undermine the paving that would be going on. So, yeah, the ditches have to be cleaned. That's the first thing the Department of Transportation told me they need for any subdivision to take it over. But they are willing to take it over. It's a big expense, and it's a forever expense. Then it becomes a road on the state transportation. So it doesn't disappear.
And once those, I think probably, Ray, that once those, it's on the ditch, it's a one-time thing. Once it's cleaned and it's accepted, then they maintain cleaning that as well as repaving.
Yes, sir. Correct.
Of course, that cleaning is just running a blade down it, you understand?
In the mic now. Y'all speak in the mic. We want to hear what you're saying. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Freeman. I'd just like to say I thank Commissioner Freeman and all the commissioners for their active participation in moving this county forward and doing what they need to do day to day. No, now we have Commissioner and County Manager comments. Let's start with the Commissioners. Commissioner Freeman, since you just finished talking, let's have,
I didn't have an opportunity to leave. But won't do that like some have done in the past.
Yes, sir.
But anyhow, thank you, ma'am. I certainly want to bring some things to enlightenment, not that everyone's not aware of it, but I think it is very important. First of all, I'd like for one of our citizens to stand up. We had a National Night Out, 03 August, and the National Night Out recognizes volunteers, rescue, police, deputy sheriffs, and other volunteers, fire departments, all the fire departments. And the organizer this year, Brian, if you stand up and and no need to come up here, but stand up and be recognized, he came before us, Madam Chairman, if you remember, to bring forward that they were going to have National Night. It was a success, however, it rained very well, and but still there were a lot of participation and saw some commissioners out there and families and what have you. The hot dogs were a little cold, but they were good. But thank you for putting that on. That's the first time in this county that's occurred. So, thank you. The other thing that was kind of disturbing to a degree, and I think we all read, is that the census kind of shows us losing people. And if I'm not mistaken, it was about 1,000 off. We don't know if that's correct or not. I don't know how the other commissioners feel or judge. There's no way that I could find out if that's actually the truth. So if it is, that is certainly going to affect us in some ways. And certainly things that Reba, Ms. Holly's working on and our chairman's working on for population in Gates County. So I just want to bring that forward in case somebody knows something that I don't.
Just to interject, there is a means that a locality can contest a population count if they feel that it's not correct. So that'd be something I'd be glad to speak with the board later, also involve the planning director in that discussion too.
Absolutely. As the sheriff has me patrol the county from time to time, I haven't seen a decrease of people nor automobiles.
Yeah, because it has far-reaching consequences, just not for this year, because each and every year until the next census, that number is going to be used as the base for the estimate. So it has significant financial impact for a decade when you have a low count. And so
Spot on.
I think that's something that we probably at a later date need to probably have a more in-depth discussion on.
okay,
Good idea. Good idea.
thank you for that.
The other thing, Madam Chairman, I want to bring forward is that we're certainly looking at numbers all the time that occur throughout our region, throughout our state, throughout our nation. And they are, but for Gates County, I want to bring forward to you what has happened as far as, Madam Chairman has me sitting on Board of Health, and they elected me to their Executive Board of Health a few years ago. So I received these updates on Gates County now. First dose of COVID, 3,357. So out of a population, at that time, we're looking at 12,000 population from Gates County. So 3,357 first dose. Second dose was 3,550. So more got the second dose than got the first dose. I've had difficulty in trying to figure that out, and I figure someone with financial experience, such as our CFO, might know how that happens. But I kind of have a little bit of an idea. We had a great influx of folks from Virginia that came to Gates County to get their COVID vaccine. So if that's the case also, we may not have as many vaccines administered in Gates County as we think, to Gates County, to our citizens. So we vaccinated a lot of folks from Virginia, glad to do that, happy to do that, happy they came here, came as far as Colonial Heights, Richmond, and what have you. And can't really thank our staff at the medical center, that Karen Riddick and all of her staff for providing that. Now, to give you a little bit of a surveillance, we have reported tests last week was 14 in Gates County. I'll skip over some of this, but really won't help you out a great deal. But this does. For Gates County, we had reported 13 deaths, and they've kept that. Now, I think that's probably almost 1/2 of the number of deaths of COVID-19 that have been attributed to Gates County. Because we're right at the line, many of them occurred at OBC, somewhere else in Virginia, or they developed COVID while they're in the hospital in some other nature, and they're counted in Virginia or counted wherever they may pass, unfortunately. So we're not too happy with that. But lab confirmed cases, 787 for Gates County, 14 active cases, as I mentioned a moment ago, 760 recovered, and I say 13, unfortunately, and God bless them, 13 deaths. So I want to bring that to your attention, Madam Chairman. Also, every now and then, and I don't know how many other commissioners, I get some emails from some of our citizens, glad to get them, but only had 2 that said, say no to vaccine passports and mandates. And they asked for an answer, and I answered them. So they can let you know what my answer was, but I cannot believe that there are folks that want to say no to masks and no to vaccines and live in our communities. So from a public health standpoint, and by being involved with Albemarle Regional Health Services, I believe that the masks are very important, most important, and the vaccines are most important. I want you to know that we have plenty, and our director tells us, Battle Bass, that there is a stockpile of both Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. So vaccines are available. Go to the health department and get them, and wear the mask. I think that's kind of coming back. We were told early on what is going to happen with COVID-19 is that it's going to mutate, and that happened. You know, I don't know if many folks believed it or not, but they kept saying it's going to mutate, it's going to mutate, and it's going to mutate, and that's exactly what it's done. And here it is again, mutating once again, and maybe driving us back to another force that we're going to be in a position to wear a mask and maybe not meet as often, maybe not meet face-to-face as often. So, but I want to thank our citizens that do send me something, but I don't agree with it, and they've read my email response back to them. I also would like to thank Madam Chairman, as much time as I can take. I want.
You got 30 more seconds.
Mr. Rancher is out there. I know I saw him set his watch. But the other day, your Baptist church, your Christian church, Cool Spring Baptist Church, Middle Swamp Baptist Church, and Runelson Baptist Church furnished meals for essential workers in Gates County at no charge. So all the essential workers in Gates County were allowed meals and meals for their families. So I want to thank those churches and all those workers, and it's basically the Baptist Men Association. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
All right.
Good update.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Hopper?
Yeah, since Ray took so much of the time, I'll try to be short. That.
Linda, I'm not leaving because you're speaking, but I'm gonna slip out of here right now.
Okay, that's fine. That is
I
fine.
didn't never hear the chairman say take a break.
I'm going to leave with you, Earl.
My words of wisdom, I guess, is that Jim's, we're having our food drive this weekend on Saturday morning at 8:30 at the Old Medical Center, 8:30 to 10. Or is it 10:30? 10:30, 8:30 to 10:30. That's our Jim's director back there, Vanessa Howell Turner. Truman, okay. And so please tell everyone to come. We are there to serve, and we have a lot generally to give away. So please tell your neighbors, 8:30 to 10:30
Okay,
on Saturday.
thank you,
And
Commissioner.
everybody try to stay safe. As Commissioner Freeman talked about COVID, the people who are having it, 90% of them are what? Unvaccinated.
Commissioner Owens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you for the service that your department extends to the citizens of the county. I'll just touch on that one more time. Citizens, support your sheriff's department. Support our rescue squads, our fire departments, and support them with your mouth. If you want to make a financial contribution, certainly do that. But build them up. Build them up. Say positive things about them, because they give a lot, and they do a lot. So we need to do that. Sheriff's Department is going to work with this board, and this board is going to work with the Sheriff's Department. So we appreciate everything that they do, and appreciate everybody's attendance here tonight. I want to thank Dr. Riddick and Commissioner Hoffler for what they're doing on this broadband project. They're digging in deep. They're learning a lot. I want to thank Reba Holly for what she's putting into the mix, and helping to answer the questions. Sometimes you're dealing with something you don't even know how to ask the question. So what you shared at the podium tonight was very helpful. So thank you very much.
Okay. County Manager.
A few items. First one I'll bring up is the grass cutting at the county facilities. It's been very publicly noticed that the grounds have not been kept to the standards that they should be. We do have a private contractor that is responsible for that work. His work has been found to be unsatisfactory. He tried to walk away from the contract. He was advised that, you simply don't walk away from contracts. So he has provided a 30-day notice, which ends September 9th. So he is still fully responsible underneath the contract to perform the duties. And I've informed the Building and Grounds Director to make sure that those duties are fulfilled to the letter of that contract, and that evidence of all work is to be submitted before any final invoice is paid. In the meantime, I have rewritten a contract for the same services for the remainder of the year. That is going out to circulation to various companies, and hopefully I'll be able to have someone lined up by September 9th when the current contract expires, and see to it that the grounds are maintained in a far better state than they have. Secondly, I've been working with the clerk. We're trying to organize in a very coherent fashion all the different boards, committees, commissions, so forth that you make appointments to, so that each one is an individual list to give you the proper notifications, and just trying to get that information organized both in writing and also on the website. You will have a number of appointments that will probably need to be made, or at least introduced to you at your September meeting, so I give you fair warning of that. I'd also like to take this opportunity to recognize Jason Sample. He is the new emergency management director. Jason has done an excellent job in organizing the emergency operations center. Young man has a lot of initiative. He's been very helpful. One thing I discussed with him, it's called NIMS certification. That's National Incident Management System. He's working on that. I brought it up at the last staff meeting that in the event that we do have a natural disaster, an emergency, that you can be reimbursed for employees' time, but those employees have to carry a NIM certification through FEMA. So I just want to make sure that the county may not possibly be losing out on money because those certifications are not in place. So I put Jason in charge of that to determine which employees need what level of NIM certification to make sure that everyone is fully certified so that we don't lose out on any potential FEMA money should the event that we unfortunately have a disaster. I'd also like to thank the board for the meet and greet. I appreciated that very much, as did my wife. It was a very enjoyable event, and I've met a lot of people. And like I said, thank you very much for that event. And a couple of things, not to sound like a broken record, but looking at the actions, and I expect the sheriff as the head of his department to ask for things for his department, but his situation is not unique. Virtually every department in this county has problems with salary levels, they have problems with salary compression, and they also have problems with staffing and organization. If this organization is going to move forward and to try to do and take on the new programs that we need, we have got to have the staffing resources, the right people in the right jobs, in the right number, at the right compensation. And that is systemic throughout this organization. And I do not recommend that this be done on any type of piecemeal basis. So once again, I implore the board to allow me to proceed with a study to do this for the entire organization. And then lastly, I think even at the end of that, we're a small county. We're not going to have a huge number of employees conducting work, but those employees need to be equipped with the best tools available. And something that's lacking right now is bringing our technology, especially our computer technology, up to more modern standards so that we have things that the departments are more interconnected, that there's a home drive that all departments can access. I think that is also a critically important study as we move forward, because the staff can only be as effective as the tools you provide them with. And technology is one of the most important ones we can do to increase the efficiency of a limited number of staff. And once again, I reiterate my request to be allowed to proceed with putting out a request for a proposal for someone to evaluate the county to determine what would be needed in order to bring into this a more centralized, efficient, up-to-date computer technology system. And with that, I thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
please, if I may.
Okay.
Our county manager is taking a holistic approach to what the county needs. He has used the word with me, piecemeal. We don't need piecemeal things. The computer situation being one of those. And we've talked about a couple of others. And I agree with what he's saying. There are a lot of things that we need to look at within the organization. Organization of the right people in the right place. You used that terminology, I believe. And we're supporting our county manager in opening up everything and taking a clean look inside and seeing what is more efficient. And as taxpayers and as staff and employees, you should welcome that, and we want you to welcome that. And we're going to be better. The county's going to be better for it. We're going to be more efficient. We're going to be up to speed, and we're going to be on the cutting edge. We're going to be more attractive for economic development. And so we need to support, encourage, and embrace what this county manager is bringing to this board. And we get to hear it first. We get to be in on the development part of it, and I'm excited about that. So I want to thank you for what you're doing. And I want to tell the citizens one other thing, is that you gave me a bunch of calls and a bunch of emails about the grass. I knew that the county manager was working on it. He told me that he was working on it and what he anticipated to take place. And what he told me is exactly what he just shared with you about the grass cutting. I want to tell you, what we did with these phone calls and these emails is we sent it to the person who needed to see it and hear it. And we stepped back and got out of his way, and we let him take care of it. That's what we're paying him to do. So I want to thank you for the phone calls, thank you for the emails, but just because you don't see the grass cut the next day, you need to understand that he's working on it. And I thank you again. And I thank you for the extra time.
No problem.
Madam Chairman, since Jack mentioned that and talking about embracing, and I've received a bill here for the meet and greet for $372. May I give that to the county manager?
No, you may not. He can't play for his own party, no.
I would like to make a comment. 2 people I know called me to get the name of the caterer. And I know at least one of them gave business to that person. And we had people from Gates County that did the catering. And so it helped them to get their name out.
Excellent.
I have a couple of updates because, they've taken all the time. I can't talk. But I've had inquiries about the monument that we're having developed by Davis Monument Company. And we called them yesterday, and we called them last month because of supply chains again. They said there's no time for delivery of that monument. See, that monument goes out in the appropriate place chosen by the county manager to bring us up to date as far as the Confederate monument. So that's what I'm talking about, in case you've lost track of what I'm talking about. It's that monument that the committee, the ad hoc committee decided that that's what they wanted to do. We voted on it, but it's being delayed by supply chain issues at Davis Monument Company in Elizabeth City. And as soon as we find out the delivery, then we will arrange an unveiling for that monument in celebration. Speaking of celebration, they also wanted a Unity Day or Community Day to celebrate. And I had put on the table to partner with the Gates Partners for Health, and they always have a fun day. Well, I met with them, I'm on their committee, and I met with them last week, and they decided, and I agree, that they were going to postpone the fun day from this fall to next spring because of the variant. We don't know what's going to happen with, the variant. We don't want a big, celebration, everybody running around in the community center. So we're delaying that celebration until late spring, but it still depends on the variant, what it does. We just didn't feel comfortable, and we are on the side of caution. On September the 8th, we had to schedule a retreat for the board. That has been canceled, but on that day, Commissioner Freeman is going to drive me around this county. I don't know where all the properties are. If when people are talking about it, I don't know what you're talking about. And so I need to put eyeballs, as a commissioner, not just a chair, but I need to put eyeballs on the county's property that we own. And so on September 8th, since they had it scheduled anyway, now they think, we're not having a retreat. I said, well, I got to do something that day. So I called Freeman, because he's a tour guide. I found that out from North Carolina Growth, but he drove them around for a day. So he's going to drive me around. And if it's another commissioner that wants to, maybe the county manager wants to go with us, because he needs to get to see it too. And let me say this, we cannot gather 3 at a time as commissioners. We can't do that. That's an official meeting. We know what we're doing. So if you see 1 or 2 of, that's it. I can't have another one. Or they can't have another one, And so that's what I want to do, is to put eyeballs on the property. And another reason I want to do that, because we're getting ready to make a plan with the county manager about how we spend our dollars. So when the commissioners that know where the facilities are, they start talking about what this, that, and other, I need to have a contact. I need to have some idea what they're talking about. And finally, Butterfield will be here next Wednesday at 5:30, unless he's called back to Washington, D.C. I got a call from Reginald Spade and said that, the infrastructure bill, that's up in the air again. So if he's called back, if Congress is called back it would be the 23rd, which is next Monday. So he should know probably this weekend whether he has to go back to Washington on the 23rd. If he does and can't get here on the 25th, we will note that and reschedule. We're not canceling. Reggie said reschedule. So we don't control, what Congress does. But I just want to put that out there because he's coming to the county. And that's all I have. And I would like to have a motion to go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A for economic development.
So moved.
Second motion.
It's been motion and second that we go into closed session. We're in closed session. Take a 5-minute break, commissioners. Good evening again. I entertain a motion to come out of closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A4, Economic Development.
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move.
Second.
We are adjourned.
We're getting better at this.
Still running. Clock's still running.